Hello and welcome to my new Terminator movie. I'm back and I'm here to kick ass and I'm going to destroy every Terminator that comes between me and Sarah Connor. Okay, I'm sorry, stop. I'm not going to do the whole review like that. I know you guys love Arnie, but it's just gonna have to do with me. Welcome to my review of Terminator Dark Fate, directed by Tim Miller and starring Mackenzie Davis, Linda Hamilton, Natalia Reyes, Gabriel Luna, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we come back once more to the Terminator universe with another sequel/reboot in which we find Sarah Connor and a hybrid human cyborg trying to protect a young girl from a newly modified liquid Terminator from the future. Talking about this film with no spoilers is very dangerous. This is a film that negates Salvation, Rise of the Machines, thank God, and Genesis, which personally I liked. But none of those movies matter anymore. This is a direct sequel to T2 Judgment Day, aka the greatest action film of all time. And there's been a lot of ups and downs with this franchise ever since that film, but this film finally seems to understand the key ingredient that was missing. We all love Arnie, we all love the T-800. That was a somewhat necessary element for the enjoyment of these films and these stories. However, as much as we love the character, it was never his story. But Tim Miller finally seemed to understand what makes the Terminator franchise work, because we don't follow the T-800, we follow Sarah Connor. And let me tell you that Sarah Connor is fucking awesome. She's an amazing character. She's a badass warrior meant to save mankind, and Linda Hamilton is fantastic. What a badass. This is a traumatized woman who's dealing with a lot of sorrow and a lot of grief, just a huge trauma in her life from having to run away from these machines over and over again and trying to save the world and having so much pressure on her. This film understands that not only she's a key ingredient to these stories, but it understands her character. And Natalia Reyes, I don't think I've ever seen her before, but she's fantastic. She's the anchor of this film. She's the one who everyone is trying to protect, or at least half of the people are trying to protect, and the other half are trying to kill her. And she's really, really good. There's a particular scene where she's reacting to something, and you can tell she can transmit exactly what she's reacting to and the layers that her character is reacting to. But my favorite performance in this film is Mackenzie Davis. This woman is tremendous. Not only in the action sequences, she bulked up. She looks huge in this film. I would not want to get on her bad side. There's just a lot of layers to the character of Reyes that makes her so interesting and complex. A character that is fighting for a future that she doesn't want to happen. It's very similar to Kyle Reese in a way. Yes, I'm not going to deny that. But there's new layers added to it, and different layers at that. I don't need to spend a lot of time on Arnie. He's awesome. He's a different T-800. That's all I'm going to say. And he kills it, as always. And his chemistry with Linda Hamilton is spectacular. It's out of this world. And it just puts a smile on your face to see them working so well together, but with such a different dynamic than with previous films. Let's talk about Gabriel Luna, who is awesome in this film. He's a new model of Terminator. He's the Rev-9. He can divide his body up in two parts, the exoskeleton and, let's say, the outer shell. This film gets one thing right. It makes you afraid of the fucking Terminator, because there's an element to movies that you lose once you make enough of them. Once you make enough sequels, there's something that's lost, and that is the mystery, the unknown. Yes, in the first film, we had no idea what a Terminator was, so everything he did was a surprise, and we were fucking scared out of our minds because we didn't know how to stop that machine. In number 2, there was a fucking liquid Terminator. Same thing. And then on Rise of the Machines and on Salvation and even on Genesis, which again, I like, that was lost. That was never there. So it never felt like a true menace. We knew what was going to happen. We understood what it could do. We understood the limitations of those Terminators. This one is fucking out of this world badass. It's fucking out of this world powerful. And again, it just makes you afraid And let's talk about the action sequences because they are awesome, which I had no doubt in my mind that they would be because it's Tim Miller. He's really good at helming action sequences. Most of them, at least. I'll get to that in a little bit in my negatives. And there's a lot of variation in the action sequences. One action sequences feels very different from the one that follows. There's an action sequence on the highway. There's an action sequence in a factory. There's an action sequence in a detention center. And I'm not even going to talk about the other ones because those would be considered spoilers and you guys are always safe with me. Terminator started and it reached its peak as an action franchise that is also a thriller because you're afraid of the Terminator and because it's a human drama about loss, about sorrow, about grief, and about perseverance. And all those elements are in this film. And with that, I feel like the Terminator franchise, it's back on a very good leg. And it has a lot of potential going forward. That's not to say that this film is on the level of the first one or the second. There are a lot of holes when it comes to certain explanations in this film, and I really can't go a lot into it because they would be considered spoilers, and I don't want to tell you guys anything I shouldn't. The one thing I will say is that the connective tissue between this film and the other ones leaves a lot to be desired, but this film is actually worried in creating a franchise to go forward and not to tip off the head to something that came before. It does that in spades, but its main concern clearly is to move things forward. But that's the danger you'll always run into when it comes to time traveling in movies and changing timelines and whatnot. But what I like about this film is that it didn't concern itself with time travel and timelines and whatnot. There was a background, or at least an element of the background, but this film focused on the clear and present danger, and I think that's what it should focus on. Another element that actually doesn't work for me well either is one-on-one combat. Like, there are big action sequences. You've seen one teased with planes on top. The one on the highway is pretty cool with them throwing irons at each other. But when it comes to like punching or just being one-on-one physically punching each other out, there are way too many cuts for what I expected and for how well the other types of action in this film work. Some of the combat scenes just really left something to be desired, to be honest. Junkie XL score in this film, bringing you back to the classic Brad Fiedel vibes and adding something new to it. This film has a personality of its own. It has a heart of its own that's beating due to Schwarzenegger and Sarah Connor. However, it adds new interesting characters with Danny and Grace. It brings the first two films to a satisfying conclusion while reintroducing us to a classic storyline. It's not only a great out-of-summer blockbuster, it's just a return to form for a franchise that could be seen new sunny days in the future. I'm giving Terminator Dark Fate a B. Now, what did you think of Terminator Dark Fate, my beautiful geekies? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this film, on the franchise if you haven't seen it? Are you looking forward to it? Did you like any of the other sequels before? And how do you rank the franchise as a whole? And thank you so much for watching. You are the best. I hope you've checked out all my reviews from the London Film Festival. I still have one very late, and so many films from this past weekend very late, but I'll bring all those reviews to you, so I hope you check them out. And so until the next video, stay beautiful, stay geeky, and don't forget to like and subscribe, but most importantly, love each other and love the movies. I'll be back.